Reporting, what's that on the screen?
The usual.
Mm-hmm. Bum, bum, bum. What is that on the screen still?
Yeah,
Look on the screen, look up there, you don't see that?
it's okay, where there's nothing.
Whatever that is, there. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, because you scared it. It's like, I better get out of here before he bites me. Okay.
Can you read that?
Yeah,
Yeah, easily.
Countless native children dug up in mass unmarked graves across so-called Canada, marking the largest mass murder site of children in the world. To this date, there are 0 police investigations, no charges, no convictions. So-called Canada is child raping murderers, emboldened through genocidal police, courts, and lying politicians. Canadian genocide is litigated. Oh, nagari ko ka joke ko so walang serious ni hari. Kasi dans rio you just ka we no ji on that just ko in sta. Rona ta runi. Retino wada do garong gari I guess. Yeti sota as tanka garako dana yetin sta ji hun sagi dana guegus kat ne ganungwe. Retino wada do sawoyerda ne tkuntu hetsada gawas ne Agueide ni ganiater de gerda dana aguego o quatri no cosun. Etino wardado yeti sota gunha nerdo no the hetste me gonna go rio that it really hawakwe. Dam dawe aron hetste and goes at stasa ne ganungwe. Dam dawe aron hetste ne asat ni got dardige ne gananga hana. Radinato no nata runi dana riskereboge. Dam dawe aron hetste aguego on the gordo gayana dasira go on escana. Ori wheel. Gari wa gori shutsura dana gazat stasura. Damdawe Gayandawana ne gani guri. Okay, so as you know, every time we get together for meeting, council, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out on the Gari Wadekwa first. This is where we give thanks for and identify the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. Excuse me. So it's dark in here. Lighten it up, Benny?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay, where was I? Oh, okay, so we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. That when you look up into the nighttime sky, you are not looking at cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother, into the body of Sky Woman herself. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to our grandmother Moon. It is she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things, and so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you have grown out from her, or what you imagine divides us. We have all grown from the same mother, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations all together. And so We give thanks to her, to Mother Earth, as it is she who has given us body. From there, we give our thanks to all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest grandmother, as they carry the sacred title of life giver into the world and are to be honored and respected as such. We give thanks to them, for in this world, they give us purpose and direction. And of course, we're not identifying just the life givers, the mothers of just humans. No, we identify the life givers, the mothers of all things, puppy dogs, butterflies, the mothers of birds, the mothers of insects, of trees, the mothers of all things. For in all strains of life, there is the mother of how would I identify it? It's the mother part of life, knowing that there are the dualities to all things, but it is the mother part of life that perpetuates, that gives the life. So it is from there where the importance is placed to know that the mothers in all strains of life is what raises the children, what teaches the children, the young ones, how to be. So the young bears are taught by their mothers how to be. The young wolves, the young turtles, the young everythings are taught to how to be by their mothers. We give our thanks to the life force that flows between all things, the energy that connects us all together, to the water and the medicines in all the shapes and forms they come in. We give our thanks to our ancestors who carry the good mind, and we ask them to help us to return our mothers back to their natural seat of authority within all our nations, so they can manage all our people properly once again. We ask our ancestors to help us to return, what did I say now? Peace, power, and righteousness to the united people, to every onagorda within the great law of peace, back to the hearts and minds of the people, that the true spirit of the three universal clans, three clans of the Ganyangahaga, of the turtle, wolf, and bear, that they be returned back to the people, that the balance and the good mind return back to the people. As you hear, my voice is not kind of bad. My voice is really bad. It's in bad shape because we just done a lot of singing. We just had one of the greatest experiences I've had in my lifetime. Of course, as you could imagine, for me, doing business is what is important. Longhouse business is the only business. It's the important work. It's the good work. It's what I live for. It's what I do. And so whenever I experience Longhouse business, it is always the best experience. And today I've had one of the best experiences that I've ever had. A message came to us today. But first, I'll relate to you how this came about. During the week, we've been got message from a good friend of ours, a non-native woman, who's been involved in things stemming from the protests or whatever that was happening in Ottawa this winter. But her journey brought her there in attempt to be involved, to make change in the non-native society. But when she was there, of course, well, she ran into native people. She was affected by them. She was changed by them. Anyways, some of these people that she met there, a lot of people throughout so-called Canada have become aware of a few people who were present, a few native people who were present there. And many people will be familiar with the woman, the life giver, called Tracy Bone. Her name is Tracy Bone. Beautiful life giver who was present at the events in Ottawa over the winter. And also people who would be familiar with a strong man that goes by the name of J.D. Anderson. And mind you, I asked him his name. How do I refer to you then? Just J.D. And he says, yeah, that's what people call him all his life. So Officially, I refer to him as JD. So they were accompanied, or these are the people that she met over the winter. And anyways, this past week, she was sent us a message saying that they were going to be in the area, that they wanted to meet, and that there was other people with them. And yeah, it wasn't really working in the beginning because, as some of you know, my brother, there's just been an incident with him. He's still in the hospital, but he's been getting better this week, increasingly getting better every day. You know, as each day goes by, it's amazing that he's exponentially better each day. Anyways, in the beginning of the week, we were kind of like, well, we don't know. We'll wait and see. So it turns out that as we get closer here, my brother's so much better that yes, okay, we can do it. It can happen. So they get here today at 2 o'clock. And we had a beautiful exchange. I can't even remember all the things that were said, but I will sum it up as we go along into basically one message that was brought to us that we are all working on as an agenda from here now. So anyways, we talked for hours. They just left, so they were here for 5 hours, sharing, talking. Some singing going on, some really beautiful singing. You wouldn't believe, I didn't believe, I had no idea that this Tracy Bone was a singer. And what a beautiful singer. My goodness, her voice is awesome. So not native traditional songs, but songs from her heart, sung in English. She uses a guitar, and she's a really good guitar player. She's a really good singer, performer. You could really feel her message. You could really feel her words and her song. But this is just the song that she was singing. But prior to that, there was a lot of talk, message that she had related, and personal levels of personal things that she went through, of how she was dragged through the meat grinder of the British Nazi residential school concentration camps, that she was subjected to this, how it's affected her family, and you all know the story from there. JD shared the same things about himself, his family, what happened to him, them being, him being dragged through the meat grinder also. But there was also another man with them. Do you remember his name? Not so good with names, but apologize, I don't remember his name. But in the coming days, this will be recollected. It will we'll get the name and we'll share back with everybody in particular who he was. And they all shared the same story anyways, that they were all dragged through the meat grinder. So there was 3 people here today, 3 Native people who were subjected to that. And the message that they brought, basically in a nutshell, of sharing all of their information. But first I presented to them, because it was a mix of Native and non-Native people. I presented to them the position of the Longhouse here in all things, to sum it up, to avoid or to cut out a lot of unnecessary conversation. Like if, let's say you were here to tell me that you wanted to sell me dictionaries or something. Oh, what if I told you that, oh, I got my own factory producing dictionaries? Well, that would change your what you're going to say to me, because once you know my position on things, then you'd know then there's no way you're going to sell me dictionaries. So we had to present the whole position of the Longhouse, given the fact, knowing of what basically we had a basic understanding of what this interaction would be, what the message would be, what we were receiving. So we presented Longhouse position first on absolutely everything, and they agreed with everything that was presented about Longhouse position. Not just the 3 people that were present, the Native people sharing their horror stories, of the British Nazi residential school concentration camps, but also the non-native people who were present, shared with us and affirmed and that everything that we were saying in our position, that they accepted it as truth, and that this was accepted as truth. Okay, so when it came time, because there was a bunch of them, maybe I think maybe 8 of them, 7 or 8. I presented the feather first to Tracy Bone to hear to be respectful and to hear the voice of the life giver first. And so she conveyed her message. It was again like telling us of her story, of what had happened, of what took place over the winter time, what she's been involved in, what her agenda is, and what she's doing from here, basically. JD Anderson done the same thing. He gave us the same lowdown of what happened to him, all of that. And the stories are all basically the same. As you know, everybody who was dragged through the British Nazi residential school concentration camps, they were all shown the horrors of which no child or no human should ever see. They were exposed to the insanity of Christians and white Europeans. That says it all. So everybody knows the story from there that everybody had experienced, all the children had experienced. And so they all identify that world of alcohol, that world of drugs. They were subjected to that because they were ripped out from their culture, ripped out from what they would have been. And so she did identify also that this was has affected her children also, and that it is something that is still unaddressed. So when you think of what just took place in the last 5-6 years with the so-called Truth and Reconciliation, went around the country and they gave money to people who were victims, and maybe 10,000 here, 10,000 there, buy off money to have you shut up so that you stop telling your stories, that you don't tell them. And so they conveyed all of this, and then together the 3 of them ended up conveying a message that was scattered, across the 3 of them, that we had to listen and put together. And so at the end, I put together what I thought was the message, and I asked them to tell me if I am wrong in what the message is. And they all said yes, they agreed. So at the very end, what we did was I asked them, the 3 of them, to stand with me, and we all stood around the fire and we held hands. Now, these are not non-native people. These are native people who were scooped up in the 60s and 50s, however old they are, and dragged into the British Nazi residential school concentration camps. And so it was with their spirits that we had communicated with today, that we had convened in council the following message. So we stood there. So we stood there in fire, in a circle at the fire, 3 of us holding hands. The 4 of us, the 3 of them, me. So the 4 of us. And conveyed this. I said, tell me if I'm wrong again. And of course, they all agreed. What it was I asked them, as the children who were kidnapped, who experienced all the stuff that they experienced, if it was in their hearts and minds to say that from here, that in the healing of our Mother Earth, that in the love that we must expand, that if they thought and felt that if this love was meant equally for everyone, if it meant forgiveness of the people who have perpetuated such crimes, such horrors upon children. And they said yes. And so we said, then love will be for everyone in this world. We will return love for everyone, or no one at all will have it. Because if not for everyone, then we will die trying in the effort to return it for everyone. And so this means it changes our agenda. Not so much from what our agenda is, but in something here that myself, I'm trying to understand also how this is going to unfold. There is a forgiveness for what took place. It's not coming from me. I don't do that. It's coming from the children, some of the children that were actually kidnapped and dragged through that meat grinder. Now, some of those children have said love for all, for everybody, unconditional. And so we accepted their word. We held hands and we communed with their spirit. And we said that in our struggle to save Grandma Moon, to save Mother Earth, that it will be love. And so the conclusion is love for everyone in this world. They have said forgiveness for those who have perpetuated such crimes. They have it in their hearts to forgive. I said, I accept this, but I will still be a person of law. And so the victims have said to forgive the perpetuators of such horrors and such crimes. That is their choice. The victims have said forgiveness. I accept what they say, but I also say that I will remain law and I will apply law. And so, when we're talking about such crimes, such horrors, we're talking about a person, a people that are guilty of such unimaginable horrors and crimes inflicted upon children that even in the worst nightmare movie scenarios that you white people can come up with, of all these crazy movies you come up with, this has been the absolute most horrific that you could ever imagine as to what the white man, Christianity, so-called Canadians have done here in Turtle Island to the original people, not to the, but to the children, targeting children. So there is a criminal that is guilty, who the children who were victims who said forgiveness. You may think this lets you off the hook. I accept their forgiveness of you, but I am still law. And law is still going to be applied. Now, forgiveness from them will get you through the door, but it will not keep you on this side of the door. Because their forgiveness may get you through that door, but how you're going to stay on this side is going to completely be based upon your ability to remain in truth. So this is going to be quite the challenge for the white people, for non-native people, to try to get yourself into truth in the first place, much less remain there. This is going to be an impossibility for the majority of you. And here we're talking about in so-called Canada, what is there, 37 million, approximately, let's say, we'll round it off to 40 million people. Well, 40 million people. And here I am by myself saying something that all 40 million of you are going to be subjected to. All 40 million of you may not even hear this. You may choose to. We don't need to hear this. Doesn't matter coming from one person. Yes, it doesn't matter. As it didn't matter while all the white people knew and participated in the kidnapping, rape, and murder of children. Yes, you all knew about it. You are all liars when you say you didn't know about it. Every single last one of you are liars when you say that you did not know about the British Nazi residential school concentration camps that was inflicted upon Native children. Only Native children. Wasn't inflicted upon, let's say, Russians. Let's see, I wonder if they're going to do this to Russian children right now, given the fact of how much so-called Canada is demonizing Russia. Are they going to conduct their way and themselves in such a horrific fashion towards Russian children? No, of course, they won't, because they're white. They won't do that to white children because they see themselves in white children. So we can say right now that there may be a forgiveness, and this big deal, it only came from 3 people. Doesn't mean that's right across the board of every child that went to the British Nazi residential school concentration camps. No, and they don't have to be on board with this. I'm just identifying 3 people who are on board. And but regardless, that all 40 million white people, non-natives, so-called Canadians, I don't care if you're black. If you're a black person and you are here in so-called Canada, you're just as white as the whitest person, because you are participating in the same genocide upon the original peoples that they did upon your peoples in the first place. It's time that you black people, that other people start waking up to the realities of what was done to you and stop conveying it to others, to put your foot down and deal with the situation, deal with your circumstances. The black people never dealt with their circumstances. This is a matter of fact. The black people, as more of a fact, instead of dealing with it, has actually joined the white man, joined them in their corruption, become a white man, oppressing their own people. Now you might say, oh, show me one black man. Well, what about Barack Obama? What about, let's see, who's these billionaires right now that have been in the news? Kanye West, who's another one? They just drug him through the judicial system. R. Kelly, others. These people actually joined the white man. You think they've done a lot for black people in singing songs about their brothers and sisters and calling them the N-word? You think it done good for black people? No, it didn't. It didn't do one bit of good. It made them super rich, and all the other black people followed their influence. What did the influence do? Well, put a lot of bling around your neck, a lot of disrespect for your women. Every single black person pretty much just about today is calling their women the B word. And they're referring to themselves as the N word. So yeah, these ones who got super rich have influenced all the others to follow them on the white man's path of oppression of their people. Disrespect to such a degree that your own black women are calling themselves the B word now. And black women are saying the N word also. Wow, I know, I never heard this. You would never hear this back in the 70s. No way, because back in the 70s, there was still remnants, still memory of good black people who were standing for the true black identity, not a black servant of the white man who's complacent with his agenda, but no. People who were pushing for true black identity, like Malcolm X, and others such as himself. That this was where the black people lost their truth. Anyways, now today you have an end result where the majority of black people are following a few influencers within the black people into the white man's oppression. And so here, we know also that this is what this message that was received today, that this is like on the levels where it's got to work, that it's got to work where people who are locked into a certain thing, all white people are locked into a certain mannerism, whether you know it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. It's there. Ask any person who's not white, and they'll tell you. Yes, we'll tell you outright. Yes, yous all conduct yourself very racist, very racistly, because it's a persona that you embody without even knowing, without even realizing, this is the way I am. Just think of it, just to go around the world like as if you belong there, like as if you're wanted there, and to just go and push yourself in. This is a way of, in particular, how white women are. It's how white men are with their money. White women are like that with their influence, just their being. It's a certain way that you will never see, the white people will never see, but what everyone else on earth could tell you. And so this is the type of thing that we have to push back in this message that was conveyed to us of love, that love is here for everyone, that we must do it for all, and forgiveness is there. Again, forgiveness that is that will only go so far. Like I said, it'll get you into the door, and after you're in the door, you're going to have to maintain your own correction process enough to substantiate you staying on this side of the door, because this side of the door is correction. The other side of the door, where you all are right now, is where you are, corruption. So you will not be allowed on this side of the door unless certain requirements are met. And so these requirements are, of course, if forgiveness is there, then there must be correction. And so onus of such crimes, such heinous crimes against humanity, against children, a genocidal hate and drive, a force that every individual white person, because genocide is not something that you're standing there in the line of, say, military, and the military is applying. No, genocide is what the entire society projects. So everybody, all white people, all non-native people are now officially, whether you want to accept this or not, really doesn't matter to me. You are now officially subjected to the process that the original peoples just initiated here today in council of addressing the issue of the British Nazi residential school concentration camps, that the victims, the native victims, have said forgiveness. If I am not a victim, I will accept that if, and only if, there is a correction. There is an onus. There is an addressal of all of your white corruptions that led you to that point of you being okay with kidnapping children from their families, you being okay with molesting, raping, violating children, even up to the point of murdering them. And imagine burying children in so-called school grounds, away from their parents. How do you think that was possible? We talked about something today, we shared something today that you have never heard and that you have never considered about the so-called residential schools. When they had the devil come, who was dressed in red, they called them RCMP, they're rapists, they're criminals, they're murderers, and they're pedophiles. That's the RCMP. When the devil came to steal our children, do you think that our people just opened the door and said, oh, okay, they're sitting there on the couch. Go have your way with them. You think that happened? Do you think that the people just allowed homosexual priests and rapist criminals, murdering pedophiles, the RCMP, to come into our houses and to just take our children? Does anybody think that that happened? Does anybody think that there was a resistance? I don't see anybody even responding to that. This tells me that you never even considered this, that there was a resistance. Never even considered that there was no children that were kidnapped from the original peoples where there was not a resistance. The fact is that RCMP killed many of the mothers and fathers, outright killed them. And the ones that were not killed were beaten and thrown in jail as criminals. Just the same way that you today, if a cop came and aggressed upon you and you said, hey, like let's say if a cop grabbed you like this for no reason, you didn't know what was going on, and you went like this, what the hell are you doing? You know automatically that that piece of shit cop would have you charged with resisting arrest. That's the fact of the corruption of the white man's so-called judicial system. How else do you think that you can have so-called cops kidnap children? The non-native people's brains don't function on so many levels that you allow yourselves to think that you are oblivious, to say, I didn't know. Again, you are all liars. Understand that. Nothing you will say will ever prove any different than you are a liar, that you knew 100% complete about what these British Nazi residential school concentration camps were. That's a fact. Everybody knew it because everybody worked in them. The people from every white community, wherever these camps were, the people from those communities, carpenters, plumbers, dentists, would go and work there, would know that there was children being raped, murdered there. People from the town would go there and bring food, not out of the goodwill of their heart, because they were getting paid for that. Everybody was getting paid for that. And that's the reason why nobody said a goddamn thing in the white world. No white person said anything, because you white people are all about money. That's what it's all about. That's why it was allowed to happen. You can say, oh no, we're not all about money. I don't give a damn about what you say in the here and now. It's where it was happening. You are in the here and now. Oh, that isn't happening right now, you'll say. But if you were in that time back then, you think you would not succumb? What makes you think that you are so strong and powerful, so brave that you could stand against your whole community of whites to try to defend a native? You would never do that. You would never have done it. You never did. And so this is the reason why the British Nazi residential school concentration camps did in fact happen. It takes everyone to carry out such heinous crimes. So here's what you don't know about, is that when this happened, the RCMP killed many of the parents. So you know what? Children didn't have any place to return to. And they knew the ones that were killed because this was a business. This is the business of the white man, to go around the world kidnapping children, processing them for their own sexual desires. That's the white man. They rape children. They molest children. They murder children. That is the white man. That's what they do. It's their business. And as you know, that in their business, where it is done in the church. So all of these statistics were kept in the church by those homosexual priests that they knew. The homosexual priests were the ones reading. Oh, the parents were murdered. Didn't say that parents were murdered. It says something like No parents. Oh, no parents. Gee, where did this kid come from? No parents, no parents, no parents. And the priest knows, oh, because he's a homosexual, because all of them are. So that homosexual priest is looking at that list of little children and knows, well, this one's got parents. I'll only rape and molest the ones that don't. I'll only kill the ones that don't. Well, some of them slip by and they raped others and they killed others, but those ones, they're just, the parents are only natives anyways. And as you see, today, the white people still have the same racist belief. You see it, and who is this woman that said in the last couple of days, native creatures? Everybody knows there's only one creature on this planet, and that's the white man. That's the only creature. Everything else on Mother Earth is a natural living life form growing of our Mother Earth, except for the white man. And so today the message, also with the British Nazi residential school concentration camp, something that you don't know is that after the father was killed and the mother's left alone, or the father was beaten and thrown in jail, all the mother's left alone. No matter what, she's on her own, and her children are gone. What happened to that mother? She went crazy. She resorted to alcohol too. She committed suicide more often than resorting to alcoholism, though. But over the years, more and more women were consumed to alcoholism and drugs, to the point of where now you see, drive into Montreal, and you'll see Innu women on the street. As soon as you get off the highway, there's an Innu woman or Inuit woman standing there begging like a white man. That's the white man's role, to be a beggar. Not a woman, not any woman, especially not a native woman. Only the white man is to be the beggar. Only he. Because he is the only one that has no place in this world naturally, as the way that he has shown us, because he despises all life on earth, as he is killing all life on earth. Also, what happened to those, some that didn't get beaten up, didn't get killed? Well, at the end of the day, their children are gone, and who's left? Mother and father. The mother looks at the father and says, why didn't you defend my children? What did you do? The mother is just lashing out because her children are gone. She's victimizing her own husband, her father of her children. But she yelled at the father, and the father couldn't do nothing, because if he did, he'd get killed. How could he protect? You see, we were in the exact same scenario that you white people put your own selves in back in your own dark ages, ever since you started killing your own women in the name of God, where they killed your women in the streets right in front of your children. You put us through the exact same scenario. So again, here's another reason to say, what the hell is wrong with you white people? What is wrong with you? These are the things that you were running away from in Europe. You forgot about the stuff that you were running away from. Today, yous are all, I'm going to use this word, stupid. Yous are all so stupid in your new world existence that yous all think that it's said, that your ancestors said yous wanted freedom of religion. How stupid would you have to be to believe that's what your ancestors said, who came here 500 years ago? You think they said that? Freedom of religion? You would have to know nothing about where they were coming from in the first place. That they were all in Europe. They were all, what's that word they use when they put that guy they call Jesus on the cross? What did they call that?
Sacrifice.
Not sacrifice. There's another term for that. What is it?
Crucifixion.
Crucifixion. Crucified. These are all crucified. You all did that to yourselves hundreds of years ago, doing this to your mothers. Who the hell did it? Who did this in the white society to your mothers in the first place? Is there a certain sector of your society that has power over the other parts of your society? Well, yeah, you know what it is. Who was it? Religion. Religion put you in a living hell in Europe prior to 1492. And it even made it worse ever since then. But prior to 1492, everybody who came here didn't just come here on some vacation or said, let's just move here. Yous all escaped. Yous don't realize this today. Yous have forgotten that you had to escape Europe, your European crucifixion, your European male dominance, nonstop wars. What's behind all your wars? God. On both sides, it's God. These are all praying to God. Both sides who are fighting right now in the so-called whatever's going on in the Ukraine, if you want to call it war. Well, on the Russian side, they're all praying to the same God that they're praying to on the Ukraine side. How do you figure that out? How do you reconcile that? Those people, anyone who's of that mentality, you are outright stupid people. Nothing else be said. You got two enemies fighting in war, and you are both praying to the same God to be victorious. That's insanity. But yes, we already know that. The parents were torn apart, reverted to alcohol, drugs, and basically suicide. So all these children that they're finding in mass unmarked graves across so-called Canada, you never thought about this. They're non-native people. Where is your brain? Where is your ability to think? What would this mean? How could there be children buried in so-called schools? Do you think that they called the parents and said, oh, we're sorry that your son or daughter is dead. Would you like us to send their body home, or would we bury them here? Do you think that was presented as an option? Of course not. So why do you think there is thousands of children found buried in so-called school sites? Why is that? That's because they murdered their parents. No one's going to say anything about these children. No one's going to mention them. No one's going to talk about them, because the RCMP is precisely that. They are rapists, criminals, murderers, pedophiles. That's who kidnaps children. Who the hell else in their right mind do you think would kidnap children? Do you think that because somebody's got a badge on their arm and a gun on their hip, that makes them a good person? Non-native society, I'm telling you, the stupidity is unending. Unending. I have never heard a single white person, non-native person, talk about and think about, hey, how could there be these mass unmarked graves? How could this be? How did it happen? Never heard a white person ever say anything about that. Never heard a non-native person say anything about it. Some mentioned mass unmarked graves. Yeah. Nobody investigating it to deduce, to conclude, what are the circumstances necessary to have that happen? These are all oblivious to truth. You never want truth. That's a fact. You keep yourself away from it. Well, this action that was just done, in order to have forgiveness, you have to be qualified. You have to be eligible for it, eligible for forgiveness. So to be forgiven for that, you have to own up to all of the corruptions that the non-native society did in fact have to conduct themselves with him. None of you are free of it. None. So this message today was of love and forgiveness, in particular about that thing. And so this kicks off. It starts a new process. Whether you see it this way or not, really doesn't matter. We said so. And that's all it takes. We said this is happening in our house. And so the correction process now has begun. Like it or not, you're going to watch things happen on this level right across the country. You're going to be listening to people, if you're non-native, you're going to be listening to your own family talking about it at the dinner table, and you're going to see anger spill over. You're going to even see within your own families, siblings, or son to father, mother to daughter, vice versa, fighting over this. This is going to happen to you now, guaranteed. Because the thing has been addressed now today. And with the addressal of it starts the process. And yeah, this is the message today. It was a great, powerful day. Again, we sat there for 5 hours. We exchanged some songs. I sang a few songs for them, which is why my voice is now shot. And so this is what took place. But Edith and Mary Claude were present, observing it. So, you know, sometimes when you're in the flashpoint or you're the one doing something, you'll say, hey, this is what happened. And actually, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe it happened another way. So we're going to ask Edith and Mary Claude just to come and to give a brief synopsis of whatever they seen, you know, whatever they felt there. So.
Hello everyone, I'm Marie-Claude, great-granddaughter of Marie-Louise, granddaughter of Yvette, granddaughter of Francine, temporary Bertrand representative for the Life Givers Nation. It was really powerful. What I witnessed, because being at the Longhouse, you know, we see, you know, we participate in a lot of circles, but what's really struck me is the readiness of listening to the directive coming from, you know, the Longhouse, coming from the original people that kept their identity alive. And, you know, I've been working, you know, all their lives towards that. It was just a great, everybody was like open heart and sharing about their life stories, you know, and really the wanting to have peace brought back to our Mother Earth, our mothers, their position of authority, and you know, protect our Grandma Moon, because it was really said very clear also that this was the first objective of the Longhouse. So yeah, it was an amazing feeling. Like Stuart said, a lot of songs, a lot of joy amongst all of those crazy events that took place in all of the lives that the people shared today with us. So yeah, that's what I would say. A great unification of thinking, and then, you know, looking forward to everything that will come from here. So.
Senagoa, Sawaguego, Kakikit, Sista Soko, Hasutayan Rajesco Panchita, Nagasatan Rajesco Estelsa, Zapotanya Hunzage, Meshika, Wanalista, Henata Uni, Yukina Stadista, Hanatohraga Gano Sesne, Yadianga Haga, Nawage, Nawis Hunzage, and Nawaraga Goernage. It was some time coming, I would say. If you recall, during the lower recital, the ones that were here, JD came to visit. It was at the end of one of the days, and I remember actually it was one of the busiest days. And at the end of the day, Stuart went right away to wash up, and then he showed up and he's like, okay, we gotta go get Stuart. I didn't know where he was. Okay, let's run. So anyways, we ran there. We stayed at the quarry, and it was a beautiful message that was delivered. And if you recall, is at the time that Stuart gathered the message that was being brought, and is that there would have been a whirlwind that was coming. So that's almost like 2 months ago from that now. So again, when we were contacted this week and we were told that they were coming, it was like, you know, they are pursuing something, and this is good, you know, because they know who the Longhouse is, what the Longhouse stands for. And we could really tell something about, you know, the matrilinearity. It's being like more felt, more upheld, more defended. And it was also beautiful to see Tracy. We had seen her in the Zoom, but she's such a strong life giver. And there were also another life giver that is helping along with another guy that was there, Juno, if I recall his name is, maybe I'm wrong, but they put together a file as what we could gather, and we're gonna have to inquire more and see more information about it, to go to the Hague to say that JD was basically a survivor of residential schools, Nazi concentration camps. So we don't really know what that file is or how did it come about, but they spoke about thousands of pages that were lodged into the Hague as to this case. So that's really interesting to hear. As we know, here in the Longhouse, we have been talking about that this case of genocide has to be brought to the Hague. And so it's really interesting to know that they are working on that. Along with JD was another life protector, as Stuart mentioned, from the Cree Nation. It was beautiful to see how the three of them introduced within their clans. That was really beautiful to see that the clans are coming back and are being upheld and presented. And yeah, there was also one of the truckers that was here maybe a couple of months ago too. I think it must have been before the law recital. If you recall, there were truckers from the east and the west that came to one of the Wednesday Zoom that were here. So one of them came back with them from the Francophone wing that they called. So these are just more details, but it really felt like, you know, long time coming, because it's like the eastern door and the western door kind of like coming together, you know, like upholding law, like agreeing to uphold law and based on love. So it's a great thing, a great thing to witness and to be living and to be part of. And of course, everybody that is in this, you know, is part of that. So yeah.
Yeah, we could have, you know, very easily have filmed it and done it Facebook Live, everybody to see it live. But that wasn't the thing to do. There are some sacred things that in the moment, you just leave it for the people that are there. You know, it's not necessarily a thing to be shared that way, you know, for people to see it live. You know, maybe almost like maybe you shouldn't watch an artist as they're doing this big elaborate painting. You should only see the finished product. Because if you're watching the artist doing this or doing that, you might say, hey, why are you doing that? Or why that technique? Or why does it look like this or that, whatever, you know? And just like, oh, that could even influence the way that the painter's gonna paint. So it could influence also, like let's say it was live video, a camera right there in people's faces. It could influence what people are gonna say. So anyways, just for that reason, for this one time, we said here, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to leave it on the levels of it being real, and whatever the experience is, that then for it to be conveyed, it's going to be left within the not interpretation, but let's say that an artist making a painting on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's say the painting is really only just a 5, but you say, this was the most beautiful painting I ever seen. That painting is an 11. And somebody else sees it and says, ooh, that painting isn't even a 5. Painting's not even a 1. You know? Well, different people, of course, have their perceptions about what's being done, how it's being done. You know, and this is the way of the people, especially people are lazy. They would much rather sit in the bleachers with a bag of popcorn and a beer in their hand and yelling, hey, you don't do this, do that, to the people who are on the playing field, because they're too lazy to do the job themselves. So we decided, for today anyways, to leave it out of it being Facebook Live or it being live for anybody, so that anyone can say who was present. Today was the most beautiful painting. It was an 11. And it said all of this and it said all of that. Instead of you having a camera there and one person saying, oh, that's an ugly painting, it's not even a 1. And the other person says, well, that's a 5. Then another person saying that's something else. But this way, we could all convey the basic message that is truth, that is forgiveness, love for everyone, and we could expand on it. We could expand what love and the beauty is. We could say it was beautiful, or we could say it was beautiful, beautiful. Well, that's twice as beautiful. Somebody else could say beautiful, beautiful, beautiful there. And it's not the same thing, but to that person, it is of such importance, such a beautiful thing, that the emphasis upon it of that event and that one person's perception is more, there's more importance in it, more importance felt in that message than if you were watching it live and not understanding what you're watching. So anyways, here we are. The message that is conveyed now is that in our efforts to save our Mother Earth, and saving and healing her, in our efforts to prevent the death of our Mother Earth by saving our grandmother Moon, the beating heart of Mother Earth, in those efforts, that it is love for everyone. There is no barriers. The love and healing energy that we are emitting together, it's there for everyone. This is what the 3 of them have said as 3 victims of the British Nazi residential school concentration camps. And as I, who have not gone through that, but who have been very lucky to have been raised in the ceremonial cycles in the Longhouse and the Great Law of Peace and in our councils and in Grand Council and all of this. You think of the children who weren't that fortunate, who were stolen from us, who were taken away from all of that beauty. I have a commitment to them, and we are not going to stop what this agreement is that we made. It will be love for everyone. Love for everyone, for all colors, for all peoples. It will be forgiveness. Now, this will not be for everyone. It will be for those who are eligible to be forgiven. Those who have made the effort. Those who stand for the truth. Those who convey the truth. Who push the truth into the public awareness, into the public consciousness. That's who forgiveness will be for. This is a one-time thing. This is not going to be there forever. This is sort of like what you've just heard about in the so-called United States, where Biden gave, what do you call that, where he forgave everybody's student loans. Well, not everybody's, only certain select people. Well, this is going to be the same type of thing. Only certain select people, meaning the people of the here and now, the wrong people. We're talking about the non-native society, the white non-native society. Only the ones that are on track of correction, who are putting their own lives on the line for truth, to rid the corruption, rid us of corruption. The white people brought corruption all around the world. You are not being forgiven. You will be forgiven if you correct. That's it. So the message is very clear and concise. The healing, the medicine to heal our Mother Earth is love. And love will be released from the original peoples for everyone equally. Forgiveness will be granted for those who are eligible for forgiveness. And you have just heard the criteria of what will qualify you for eligibility. And so this is where we're at. This is a great day. You may not think anything of this. And if only 5 of us hear about this, you might think, big deal. What's it going to mean? It is the agenda. It doesn't matter if all whatever, what is there, 40 million people approximately here in so-called Canada. Doesn't matter if 40 million people know about it. All that has to know about it is the one that initiates and activates it. And it has been activated. It is initiated. So we are all now on a new agenda. And just to say, well, first we were hit with a whirlwind. And it was identified. It was JD that was here and said, he didn't say whirlwind, but the message that he gave us, we had heard whirlwind and conveyed the message back to him. And he said, yes, this is the message. And as you all know, what was it, 2 days later or the next day, the whirlwind had begun. It was here. We talked about rebirth yesterday, or when was that? Wednesday, a few days ago. While with rebirth comes all of this effort, because rebirth implies that we're there already, but we have to rebirth ourselves. We have to reinvent ourselves in a good way. So, yeah, whirlwind comes and mixes all of this up, and then we got to manage it back together. Put ourselves back together with love. It's a great and powerful message today. Okay, I don't really know anything, nothing more to expand on that, except just how beautiful the day was. The day itself, perfect, beautiful, warm day, crazy, sitting here in just shorts. If they were not here today, I'm certain I would have been across the street. I would have jumped in the lake. I know that would have happened because we're sitting here sweating, just shorts, no shirt, nothing else, sweating. You know me, I would have been in the water today. So we can identify that today. What is it? So-called November what? What's it? November 5th? That we would still be swimming. We can't say we swam, but we know we would have jumped in. We wouldn't be swimming around and hanging around in the water, that's for sure. We would jump in and right the hell out of there. But in the past, in my life, the latest I had ever swam was Halloween Day, and that was Stone and I, and that's about 30 years ago. Stone and I done that. That was before my kids were in this world. Haha is now 25 years old. So that's somewhere about 30 years ago. So 30 years to get us to be able to swim in November, into the first week of November. The conditions were right. We would have been able to. I would have swam today. Again, mind you, just jumping in and out, but it would have happened. Okay, so outside of that, well,
There's still Yada has their hand raised since a while ago.
outside of this, I can't think of anything else that stood out there. Everybody that was there spoke, all very sincere, all very meaningful. We were very happy to have received them here today. It was quite the experience. Okay, yeah, nothing else to convey on that. I guess, Kelly, you got your hand up, go ahead.
Okay, well, Kelly, daughter of Beverly, granddaughter of Betty, great granddaughter of Jeannie. Thank you for the humor at the end, but my heart is still really, everything you say, Stuart, is so right about everything that happened to our Native people. I saw this when I was really young at 20, and I'm still processing things from the law recital, and one of them is because since I've been home, is that I just was been angry since I realized that at a young age. And everywhere, I mean, you can ask my daycare girls, every single day they have to hear me all day talking to the world about it. But what you say about forgiveness, I agree with you. And I come up through that Christian church when I was a kid, and I knew that they were monsters in grade 7, and I started skipping out, and thankfully I had a mom that recognized that, and we never had to go to Sunday school again. But forgiveness is absolutely only until there's correction. Love, I've seen enough demons in my life, and I'll tell you right now, love is so powerful that you send them love, they will run away. They are afraid of love. But forgiveness is the corrupt monsters, black magician's way to keep everybody in their effing spell. And I'm sorry, every time I think this, I want to swear and swear and swear. My East Ender comes out. This is what they do. There's nowhere ever, all the Sunday school teachings I ever had, Jesus turned the cheek. No, Jesus said love. And the story goes, he said love to the people, and they ran away on the mount. They ran away from him. So I learned with the Christians, you got to play their story back on them. But 2 friends of mine, reborn Christians, who, within 3 weeks, I was now a demon woman, because Karen and I were wearing heavy metal gear. And so at about 24, I realized, no, forgiveness is the person. They have to forgive themselves, and they won't be able to forgive themselves until they acknowledge and own every single thing that they've done wrong. And that's it. So that's on that subject. And then I've got a beautiful messages. I'm a little tired. I've had a very long week, but I had a very amazing hour before the Zoom. My beautiful sister friend in Australia, we phoned because she's going to come up here for sure, at least next year. But she gave me some amazing things going on in Australia. Exactly. She says the monster of the sex change monsters is coming up in Australia. She says she sees it's been from, because she's Aborigine sister, she sees it's been all to do with this COVID. She says the people are walking around the Lake Titicaca man said, like there's an emptiness, the people aren't there, the Native and brothers and sisters, because I just spent time in Tofino, and I have friends that I've known since I was 20 people, and they wouldn't even they were looking at me like they didn't even recognize me. And I was like, what's going on here? I was at a totem pole gathering, and I'm like, Joe, just looking at me like, oh, yeah, hi, Kelly, whatever. And it just continued. So I'm like, what is going on? Until his brother, Carl, saw me, and Carl's just like, hey, Cal, just like when we were kids, hugging each other. Oh my God, you're back. How are you? So my friend is observing that, and how everybody who's been vaxxed is dropping off, but they're only saying it's heart attack, it's this and that. So in their community, all the Aborigine, and I guess in the non-Aborigine community, people are dropping off as well. And then she told me about her son had gone on to country, which means he went back to their traditional land, which is just north of, I'm sorry, I'm closing my eyes so I can keep remembering, just north, their country is just north of Uluru Rock, where there was sacred ceremony done in the time of COVID. And her son was out on the land, and next thing, and he's awake, and next something grabbed him and started trying to pull him away. And literally he said to whatever entity that was, you do not belong to the earth, something like that. You don't belong to the earth, you are not human. And she said his son said something came out of the, like a monster face came out and then went back in. I told her this is what I witnessed with David Suzuki and a fireman. I've seen like entities and people coming looking for me, or sort of looking at me and seeing who I am. So with my friend acknowledging that, I know that what I'm seeing is, I'm hyperventilating a bit here, sorry, is what I'm also seeing. She said that her son, I think he's going back in the country, so she's actually told him to make sure that he brings somebody with him. So, but she's going to come on Zoom next Saturday, because that's through the time, 17-hour differences. It's the only way that we can connect. So it'll be our Saturday and her Sunday, because she's working right now. And so there's that. And I wish I could remember more what she told me right now. And then I guess just wanting to find out if you're seeing Will and his wife Roxanne at that art thing and the film thing. And because for me, it's a really big dream to have you guys connected, because, he is West Coast, Tsleil-Waututh, and his mama and my mama, they both passed away within 2 months of each other. And we're very connected on that spiritual level. And I don't know what else to say, a little bit hyperventilating here. But the monster, the entities, they're full force here right now. And I was saying to my friend Angel, you've got to recognize it's not the people. We're not really fighting people, standing up, because I don't want the word fight, standing up to people. We're standing up to the entity. And then maybe you can share on that one all.
Okay, about your friend, well, the thing was going on today, and like I said earlier during the week, this meeting was iffy. It was talked about because of my brother Kevin's condition, so it was left to pretty much till the end of the week. But as I said, my brother was getting progressively better and more each day, so really it just came about last night. We affirmed the meeting for today to finalize it. So we still got the guy's number, right?
Yeah, we're in touch. Yeah,
But the event was going on.
it happened at 2 o'clock. That was exactly the same time that I had already told him to come. Yeah.
So, but we'll contact them later and see what happens from there. That's the best that we can do right now, because there was no way that this meeting was going to be pushed aside or whatever. So we're going to still try to make that connection, see what happens.
Roxanne, I understand Roxanne's got the art exhibit, so maybe that's tomorrow. You can meet up with them. She did a huge art exhibit with the children's hands, and I'm not sure where that is, but that I'm sure is still going on. And then, but my dream and his auntie's dream, my best friend, is really that even he just gets to the Longhouse and meets you guys, because right now he's Tsleil-Waututh was always standing up against the LNG. They are still standing up against TMX, but now they're accepting the LNG. And now he's younger. I think he's 40, over 40 at the most, a little bit. And he's saying, now I got to fight my own people. So it's really, getting him to, like we were two granny aunties talking the other night, getting him to meet a mentor, because they are the kids coming up behind us. So we got to get them
Right.
hooked in as best we can, especially for him, it's his personal journey, but I've known him for 11 years now, and to see where he's come in the last while, it's just, it's pretty amazing. I was,
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do with that, but keep in mind that tomorrow is reconstitution too. It's not
Yeah.
really this weekend for stuff to happen. So if they're only here like for 1 or 2 days or over the weekend, well, maybe it's might not be able to do it this time. But we'll see tomorrow how the reconstitution goes. That's all we
Well,
can say.
supposedly Angel told me that they're going to be here till the 8th. That's what she thinks. So I'm going to find out. But anyways, hopefully, we know she says he's following you now, so that's good too. And then the really one, it will be talking to my friend from Australia next week, because they are in the sacred. She'll have so much to share, and to really build that connecting link between Australia and like they can see like those beautiful women. They looked in my eyes for 10 minutes, like they can tell who you are like within 10 minutes. So so I'm not surprised that her son, because I've had 2 dreams. I can't remember how long ago now, but one was they were really heavy duty in the beginning of the COVID. And I woke up and I was literally, an entity was trying to drag me almost like into hell in my dreams. And I had to wake up and in my dream and recognize I'm dreaming and this is actually really happening. And then I started kicking that entity off. And then as I'm just recalling for the first time in a long time, another one came in a dream, and it was a female, and she was trying to get me to come and look and see all these sort of good sort of things. And all of a sudden I started getting, weaved around, and it just felt the energy getting darker. And that one, I also woke up again in my dreams and realized, because, they do come looking for you in your dreams, especially, I won't get into the stories, but I've had a couple of other dreams when I was younger, people coming to try to stop me from in the daytime, empowering women, and to move away from a person who was of dark energy and force. But yeah, anyways.
Okay, well, we'll contact them again tomorrow and see what's what. But what is the date today? You said it's the 4th?
The 6th, the 5th,
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
Tuesday.
Oh, Tuesday. Oh, okay. I thought maybe it'd be here Wednesday. We'd just tell them to come here Wednesday. Okay, we'll see what happens if we don't hook up with them tomorrow. If you have contact with them, let them know about the busyness,
Yeah.
See, maybe Monday or Tuesday we'll be able to connect with them.
Yeah.
Okay, for myself, you hear my voice, it's shot, and we didn't get to eat. We were in this meeting since 2:00. Everybody was really super engaged in it, so nobody could even take the time like to go and cook. Weren't gonna even suggest that somebody steps outside of that meeting, and go and take the time to cook, because it was really too important for no one could afford to have missed it. So that being said, we're gonna end now, cut it short, because we're starving to death. That's okay with everybody. There's nothing else. Did we have to relay anything, any information, any updates? We didn't hear from Stone about that meeting that went on yesterday.
Yeah, we have an update
Yeah, there's an update. Do we have an update to give?
that it went really good and that everything is.
Okay, there's the update. We had another meeting and it went really good. There, you're updated. Okay, what's going on this week? When's the full moon?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
The 8th, and it's a moon eclipse.
Oh, yeah. This full moon on Tuesday, there's supposed to be a lunar eclipse, but
It's
I think
from the 7th to the 8th.
7 to just after midnight, right? Yeah. Okay, so everybody be aware of that. I don't know where you're at, but I'm pretty sure here, I already checked the 5-day forecast. It's supposed to be rainy and cloudy, so we're probably not gonna see nothing. So everybody else, try to make that your business to see it, that you can convey to us. If we're not able to see it, at least you can say, I seen it. We'll feel better about knowing that at least some of us seen it. Okay, that's gonna be it then. Yeah, just to do the closeout. Okay. What are we gonna eat?
Something healthy.
Samburero.
Oh, what are we gonna eat? Wendy, you gotta send us a menu about foods to eat. Keeping in mind about in particular what your field of research is and all of that about people who have diabetes. No, not that we got diabetes, but you all know of my brother, he just had his left leg cut off. So we want to avoid him having to get any other body parts cut off. So we might keep
How about ribs or chicken fingers or chili or barbecue?
send us your menu. We
Okay,
have- Okay, okay, from what you've seen of my brother Kevin, what you know of him, maybe you can just suggest what a menu would be for him.
okay,
So, you got, as far as I'm concerned, in that field of knowing diabetes and dealing with that, the right foods you gotta eat, as far as I'm concerned, in the spectrum of people that I know, you're the most knowledgeable in that. So if you can, it would be greatly appreciated, a special menu from my brother Kevin.
okay, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that for him, for sure.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, we're starving to death, so we're gonna end now.
Okay, take care, everybody.
I miss you all.
Uh,
I'm lonely. I'm lonely for spirit rebels.
Ona gadi wahi ka joko, so what I'm see you snarty. Years ago, we zewa not done hodu. Gazahaya. Ayoki at again, ha yet so to gunhan there on the headstone, they gonna go rear the Hawakwe. Dam dawe out on headser and gazat stasser and the ganungwe. Dam dawe out on headser, a guego on a gordo, Guyana, rest of go on a scano, and Ori Rio, Gariwa, Gori Schuster, on Gazat Stasser, Guyanda Wana, Ganigu Rio. Dam dawe out on headser, Jagunses. This is what we said today. In the message that was conveyed, when we were in that message, we all understood that we are in a new time. This is a new time now. And so, Ayuki Atagana, Damdawe on Hetsera, Kazatstasera, Ne Jagoseze. To bring back the true spirit, the true power of the new face. This is what we seek. We may say new face, but it is the familiar old face of peace. So for this world of today, it may be a new face. But for the original peoples who are still holding on to original identities, the original instruction, that it is our old face. So we return. Our future lies in our past. Our future, if we want there to be one, we have to return to the truth of our past. All peoples on earth have to return back our true knowledge of love. Yeah. So we ask our ancestors to help us to assist this action upon our Mother Earth. We want to be a part of helping our mother to heal. We want to be able to apply the medicine to Ma. She needs us. We have to rise to heal her. So this action that or this message that was received today about healing of our Mother Earth, in applying love, it will be love for everyone. And we will do this together, or there will be no love for no one. And that is a matter of fact, because where we are, we know what's happening. We know what's going to happen if we continue on this path. Love will die. And love is what keeps our mother alive. And so we cannot allow love to die. We must rise up and apply the medicine to Ma. Give the love back that she has given to us. So now we'll go, everybody. Doga tena na hoda yadakso. Air the sawit, air the sawit, air the sawit. Kenya has a way to need join. Oh, now we'll go. Ona! Dansi Jadaka!